Thank you, John, for having this meeting today. Two areas that came about so far, and Johnny McKean brought it up in Envoyage. I got to say, over the last 20 years, we have lost a lot of hotel rooms and restaurants down here. The hotel industry needs your help down here to help start rebuilding rooms down here. They will feed off and then help out the retail business, the restaurants, and start rebuilding the beach. The other area that came about today was from one of the speakers talking about access to the beach. And he had suggested a toll road, which I think is a great idea, coming in from 107. Why couldn't we also widen 101 and run a parallel road, parallel to Brown Avenue, to our town parking lot, where we could perhaps have a multi-parking garage built there. And that will give easy in and easy out access instead of having people driving around the beach. So those are the two areas that I think are also very important. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Jimmy. Ray Blondo.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. After listening to the ones that I did listen to, I think they have some good ideas. Well, first of all, I used to come down to the beach with my grandfather and my father. So I go back to, well, I'm 74, I was 14, 12, 11 maybe. We used to stay at the back part of the beach. I agree with what was said here today. The problem with the beach, number one, I've been in that fire or that building that burnt for 19 years. I spent everything that I made and put it back into the building. My second building, the one with all the steel that was standing up there, and I thought it would never burn, but it did. It took me 3 years to build it. Our dream, my wife and I, if you know anything about Bonkers, I've been there 14 years. I would love to build a Bonkers here at the beach, but the problem is, where do I find $5 to $6 million? And what is the town going to charge me for taxes for 3 months out of the year? As it is now, we work 3 months. It takes us a month and a half to get caught up with everything that we're spending. And I'm talking about all kinds of taxes and fees and whatever we have to do. I think the condos, and I'll give you an example. The one that was, if you remember the Royal Hotel, Royal Crest, was it, or Hampton Royal, the first one around the bend here. When they turned that into condos, which was a cousin of mine, my wife's cousin, the one that turned it into Contel, I can't give you the exact amount of money we lost at the arcade, but I would say, I'd be fair to say at least 10%, just that one condo. Because what happens is people like myself, people that are retired, they're not allowed to rent, they're not allowed to stay there year-round. All these restrictions are put on them, and they're not going to come to the arcade. They're not of that age. Or they're not going to go to the hamburger or little restaurants or things that we have on the beach. All they're going to do is come here maybe 3 times out of the year. And also what that takes away from is the hotels. And I hear it from other hotel owners that their business was down last year because of cold weather, because of too many condos. It's good for the town, the condos, but it's going to destroy the beach. The beach is, we only have a couple of miles here. We do have a gold mine, not only for the business people, but for the town. The state gets a lot of revenues from this beach, whether they realize it or not, and I'm glad to see them do what they do. But somehow we got to slow down these condos. And if you're not going to slow down the condos, we need higher, what they call flag hotels. A flag hotel won't come here because of the height restriction. If you take a piece of property that's worth X number of dollars, a businessman will look at it and say, how many dollars do I have to make if I invest X number of dollars? And that's what my wife and I are talking about now. If I'm going to move or build a Bonkers over here, how many dollars and how long is it going to take me to get it back? And when you can't borrow from the bank for less than 8% or 7% or 6%, you say, well, that's it. I've had it. So I'm going to tuck it in, take my money and run. And Mr. Mitchell, Bob Mitchell, he come up with a good plan. I talked to the same architect which built the police station. I talked to the same one, and I'm willing to do it the same way. I'd love to see that, all up and down the beach. But the thing is, it takes a lot of money, and there's nobody out there that'll loan it to us as a business now. If you wanted to build a house on the beach, you could get it for 3-4%, but try to build a business at that point. For that percentage, you can't do it. And that's the biggest problem. The state, and I admire it, the state can go out there and get all this equipment and do all this work, but they're getting on bonds, very affordable, which is things that we can't afford to do. And that's the biggest problem. And I think that we're going the right way, but the bureaucracy's got to stop someplace to restrict us from doing what should be done. And the trash is a big, big problem. Matter of fact, I called Public Works yesterday because of a trash problem. And recycling, it's going to be tough for some of these little cottages. And you see it, we pick it up in the parking lot every day, every single day. And I looked into the parking garage and all that stuff. It costs you $15,000, that was 10 years ago, per parking space. Where are you going to recoup that kind of money and borrow that kind of money to put up a 300-400 car parking lot? Believe me, I'd love to do it, but you'll never get your money back. It'll deteriorate before you get the last payment on your mortgage. But I do appreciate to be able to speak here, and I hope I didn't offend anybody. As far as rebuilding, we'd love to do it, but it all depends on what the finances are going to be available and everything else, and all the loopholes they put us through. I thank you very much.